Hello and welcome to Captain Morgan's Librarius. I am the captain speaking, and I am here to introduce you to another video. Now, the topic of this video goes back to the philosophy series that I've been doing for Frontline Gaming. Please make sure you go and check out their website for the full series. A big thank you to them for hosting my articles, and a big thank you to all of you who viewed last week's video and read last week's article. Wow, it was quite a big response to that, both on their Facebook and also on this channel. Is my most viewed video so far. So thank you very much to everybody who took the time to watch the video. I know it was a long one. It was a topic that was a little bit close to heart, and it was something that I had to kind of work my head around a little bit. So if you want to go check that video out, it's the 10 points that broke the gamers video, if that's something you haven't seen yet. But for now, we will be focusing again on a new series, Connecting with Characters, and this features Garviel Loken. Garviel Loken is a character who I'm very attached to, and I'm going to explain to you why, and hopefully we can turn this into a really good series that offers some nuanced thinking about characters and development and relatability among science fiction. I guess you could call it a small personal mission of mine to get people who tend to dismiss things like science fiction as unworthy literature for discussion. And I did an article about that as well. But I really think that Garviel Loken in particular is a character who is, despite being featured by multiple authors and different stories, I think he's the most comprehensive and most put together psychological character in the Horus Heresy series, and perhaps even in all of 40k fiction. So that will be an interesting discussion, and it takes a lot of time to prepare. So without further ado, let's get into the article. I hope that my new sound equipment is paying off. You can understand me a little bit better. And I also have some new background stuff that hopefully, for those of you who are watching, I'll have something a little bit more interesting to look at. So make sure you let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments. I'm always interested in hearing the feedback that people give me, trying to make these videos better. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you were asked who the main character of the Horus Heresy story is, you'd be hard-pressed to find an answer that could cover the 50-plus novels of Horus Heresy story. It is, after all, so incredibly vast and covering so many different characters that there's no real way to say that one character is the main one in all of the stories. Some might say Horus, since this is all titled after him. Some would say that it is the Emperor, since all of the Heresy's conflict is done in support of, or in spite of, his dream for humanity. For me, I choose Garviel Loken. We've talked before about the humanity of the Adeptus Astartes, and on how instead of transcending humanity, the Space Marines of the various chapters and legions and their Primarchs are instead concentrated humanity, more human, inasmuch as having regular humans in the stories acts as a sort of ballast to even out our perspectives on what Astartes are capable or not capable of doing or feeling or experiencing. It is nevertheless the case that there are characteristics and traits that those characters among the ranks of the Space Marines have that we can all relate to in one way or another. Pride, loyalty, strength, hubris, humility, hatred, loss, betrayal, kindness, purpose, purposelessness, anxiety, hope, and faith are all attributes that these characters carry in varying degrees. Loken has experienced each of these emotions and has taken all of the journeys that all the other characters in the Horus Heresy have in one way or another, and perhaps even more of them. He was there at the beginning of the Horus Heresy, fresh-faced and naive to the dangers of blind trust and betrayal. He stood up to the wrongs in his legion as they began, and was ultimately betrayed by those he loved and revered above all others. He fell into a pit of madness and isolation, consumed by the consequences of betrayal. He was brought back from the brink of insanity by those who knew his heart. He journeyed to reclaim his sanity, eventually facing the source of his trauma and confronting it with honesty. Even as the story draws close to its end, he continues to feature as a relatable, engaging character who we have known from the very beginning of the series. Of all the Astartes characters in the Horus Heresy who I love and am a fan of, characters such as Ralderon, Sherokin, Medusan, Yasuge, Bjorn, and many others, Loken is the one who I can relate to on a personal level. Loken's journey from naivete through trauma and into individuation is what makes him the best and most relatable character in the series. For these reasons, I want to do a multi-part series talking about the psychology of Garviel Loken's journey and how it represents a realistic human journey of growth, recovery from trauma, and individuation. This is going to cover material from several books, including the first trilogy of the Horus Heresy series, the Vengeful Spirit novel, a couple of novels from the Siege of Terra, and even the ending of the Horus Heresy series itself. I believe it was called The Silent Dagger. And it's going to take me some time to put all this information together in a way that will make sense and not only just be me talking about stuff, but also pulling direct quotes from the books. So this is a big project. So I'm going to beg your patience, as videos in this series may take a little bit longer to come up with than some of the other ones. But once again, I'd like to say thanks to everybody who has started this journey with me, everybody who's subscribed to the channel so far. I would just ask that you tell your friends about it if you like the content I'm putting up. Like the videos, subscribe to the channel, get the word out. All of it makes a big difference. I want to make this conversation as big as possible, and I want to get as many people involved as I can, and I'm very open to hearing your feedback on it. So, while this week's introduction is a bit lighter than my normal philosophy articles, I want to make sure that I have the proper preparation time. And hopefully when it's all put together, it'll fit together as a nice sort of backbone for my thesis and become a full, perhaps just one long video that's comprised of the entire point. I hope to learn a lot from this process, and I appreciate everybody who's going to poke holes in my theories here. If you found this interesting, or if you're interested in more topics like this, please check out my Facebook page, Captain Morgan's Librarius. It's facebook.com/Brother Captain Morgan. That's the space where I test these ideas in first drafts and also talk about all the other parts of the hobby that I enjoy, from painting, community, gaming, and all the rest. My Facebook page is also the best place to converse with me about many of the topics in 40K that are hot right now, such as 9th edition. I post regular hobby progress updates there, like this miniature I worked on. This is Ralderon. Now, you may remember I had a work in progress on the video from last week. Here's a picture of more or less the completed model. So if you like him, let me know. If you don't, tell me why. Also, I'm learning a few new tricks for the videos I'm doing about my dad and my Crusade campaign. It's starting with a kill team narrative before we move on to using the Crusade system. So check those videos out. Those aren't more of a content thing per se. It's almost kind of like a digital scrapbook for the stuff that I'm doing with my dad. I want to make sure that I have as many memories as I can of the guy who got me into this in the first place. So hopefully the improvements I make to the next video will make up for some of the hard to read text and things as I'm figuring all this stuff out. I am really enjoying the learning process of making these videos, and I'm going to keep trying to find ways to make them more interesting and engaging for everybody. So with that, final note, I am still taking questions for Dr. Nahumik for part 2 of our interview with the psychologist series. I want to make sure that I have all of this equipment's quirks, you could say, down pat before I do that interview, but that will be coming soon. So the window for submitting your questions is running out. Make sure you either message me on my Facebook page, like I mentioned earlier, or you can send an email to brothercaptainmorgan@gmail.com, and I will read him your questions, and we'll have another nice in-person interview and conversation about Warhammer 40K and mental health. With that down, and with that done, I hope all of you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you with another video sometime soon. Cheers.